watching KTAL News Now. Here's Brittany DeFran with your midday news break.
Welcome to KTAL News Now. I'm Brittany DeFran. Your midday news break starts right now. And things are moving along over in Bowie County. Monday, the prosecution arrested in the sentencing phase for Taylor Parker, who has been found by the same jury guilty of murder. Here is a moment people have been waiting for and curious to hear from this individual. The defense called Parker's mother, Shonna Prior, to the stand, and she testified for a little over an hour. She talked about Taylor's childhood and the medical conditions, those of which have been the center of the state's case. And prosecutors said Parker's medical records show she never had a stroke or MS. Prior testified that doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with Taylor, and neurologists referred her to a psychiatrist. Now, for more details of Monday's testimony, head on over to KTALnews.com. NBC6 is your local election headquarters, and Election Day is quickly approaching. East Texas has already seen a significant number of early voters. Our reporters went out Monday afternoon to take a visit at Marion County's early voting site located in Jefferson, Texas. At the time of the visit, the county election officer stated that there were about 980 early voters who stopped by so far. Poll workers have also mentioned that this year's turnout is like never before.
Coming out of week one into week two, we have basically exceeded our election votes for all the elections except for the primary, and we're quickly approaching that number. So hopefully the general election will have an unusually high turnout.
And you never know what will happen on Election Day. So it's always good to get ahead and get out and vote early. If you're in Marion County, they are open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you don't know the hours or location for early voting near you, you can find out on your local election office website, and early voting ends November 4th. Now, in continuing coverage, the debate over abortion in Louisiana continues as advocates on both sides talk about the future legislation on the current laws. The Louisiana Right to Life played a critical role in writing of the state's restrictive abortion ban. Their executive director addressed the recent controversy over claims that the law is vague and has doctors concerned they can't perform life-saving care without punishment. He says the law allows for good faith medical judgments for physicians.
Let me say that we're open to reviewing any potential tweaks to the law to address concerns from physicians or to improve the law in general. But we will oppose any changes that, whether intentionally or unintentionally, open loopholes to allow elective abortions.
The board chair for 10,000 Women's says they're working on legislation for the next session to introduce exceptions for rape and incest for the law, among other reforms as well. And in your national headlines here, the U.S. Supreme Court could end any consideration of race in college admissions. The justices are weighing cases that challenge affirmative action policies at UNC, Chapel Hill, and Harvard University, with conservative members expressing skepticism about whether it's legal. And that leads us to our question of the day. All right, we're going to jump into it here in just a moment. Going to give you a chance to take down this QR code you see right here. All right, let's get to it. Today's question of the day is, do you think affirmative action should be used during college admissions? Go ahead and put your thoughts here. We want to hear from you. That's all for now, but don't go anywhere. More to come on your midday news break right here. For more on these stories, head on over to KTALnews.com.
You're watching KTAL News Now. Here's Brittany DeFran with your midday news break.
Welcome back to KTAL News Now. More on your midday news break right here. Now we're looking into an update of a pre-trial involving the sad death of an 11-month-old during last year. The Texarkana mother entered the pre-trial with no plea. Last summer, 29-year-old Joshua Lowe and 25-year-old Christy Wedgeworth brought 11-month-old Javonte Neely to the ER. The child was not breathing, and doctors found brain bleeding as well as broken ribs and shoulders. Javonte died 2 days later. Lowe was found guilty earlier in October of capital murder and the baby's death. Wedgeworth's trial is set to begin November 29th. Also in Texarkana, a doctor is facing up to 20 years in prison after a federal jury convicts him of illegally prescribing controlled substances. 58-year-old Dr. Lonnie Joseph Parker was running a pill mill and one of his patients overdosed. Prosecutors proved over a 2-year period he prescribed approximately 1.2 million doses of pain medications, including fentanyl, to over 1,500 patients. Now, that is a lot of controlled substances provided to many patients, so we will continue to follow that on KTALnews.com. And November is National Scholarship Month. High school students may not be aware of all the ways they can make their college experience more affordable. High school juniors and seniors are encouraged to start researching their options now so they can start applying for federal financial aid and other scholarships. This will help alleviate some of students' burdens when they arrive to college because they won't have to worry about how they're going to pay for their education or even housing.
Different scholarships have different timelines. And what students are going to find is that once they've done a few of these scholarships, which usually also require essays for a lot of them, a lot of times you can reuse a lot of those essay prompts.
And you can go to scholarship.com to find scholarships that you qualify for. Applications are open throughout the academic school year. And definitely, if I had a chance to apply to more scholarships, I definitely would have. So it's great to take advantage of that to promote, further education. And in your national headlines, the U.S. Supreme Court could end any consideration of race in college admissions. The justices are weighing cases that challenge affirmative action policies at UNC, Chapel Hill, and Harvard University, with conservative members expressing skepticism about whether it's legal. All right, that leads us to our question of the day. We're going to jump in here in just a moment. I'm going to give you a second to take down this QR code you see right here on your screen. Let's get right into it. Today's question of the day is, do you think affirmative action should be used during college admissions? Go ahead and tell us here, yes or no. We want to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. For more on these stories, head on over to KTALnews.com.